I'm going to share with you my Alaska incentive trip 3D swap. Now, this was completely optional. This is the first time I've ever signed up to do a 3D swap, and so I'm anxious to see what I'm going to receive in return. So I'll have those on my blog as soon as I get back from Alaska. So this is a tea bag treat holder, and I'm using some of the new product from the Stampin' Up annual catalog. And I'll show you that in just a second. Here's one of the tea holders. And here's another tea bag treat holder. And here's another one. I couldn't decide which cardstock and designer paper that I like the best, and so I just made a variety of them. And so these are just 4 different ones that can be created with the 3D kit. Just in case you're wondering, you can find the Tea Room Suite in the 2018 Stampin' Up annual catalog. It's on pages 14 and 15. Not only will you find the photopolymer stamp set with coordinating framelits, but you'll also see all the coordinating products. So be sure to watch my separate video entitled Meet the Tea Room Suite. We're going to use Rich Razzleberry and Coastal Cabana to create this tea bag treat holder. I don't know if you noticed the little honey stick that's right there in the center of the little cello bag and treat. Okay, so we're going to start with Rich Razzleberry cardstock. It's 8.5 inches by 11 inches. And I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Trimmer for this. And I'm going to turn my cardstock so that it's along the 11-inch side. And I'm going to be cutting my paper at 4 1/4 inches. Okay? And by cutting at 4 1/4, I'm actually going to get 2 treat bag holders out of 1 sheet of cardstock. So here are my 2 treat holders. Now we're going to use my Simply Scored tool, and I have a marker on the 1/2 inch mark and at the 3 3/4 inch mark, okay? And so I'm going to put the sheet of cardstock right there on the Simply Scored tool. This is the 4 1/4 inch side, by the way. I'm going to use the stylus, and I'm going to make my first score line right along this edge, and that's going to give it a 1/2 inch score right there. And I'm going to do the same over here, again going in at a 1/2 inch. So it's being scored on each side at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now we're going to rotate our paper, and this is along that 8.5 inch side. I'm going to leave this marker here at 3 3/4 inch, okay? I'm going to move this marker over to 3 1/4 inches. And so now I want to score using both of these markers as the guide, okay? So I'm scoring here at 3 1/4 inches, and again at 3 3/4 inches. We're now going to use the Stampin' Trimmer one more time, okay? And so again, this is the 8.5 inch side, and I'm going to turn my cardstock this way, okay? You probably can't see it now, but this is going to end up being the very front of the treat bag holder, okay? And this is going to be the back. All right, so I'm going to insert the cardstock, and I'm going to put it at the 2 inch marker. I'm going to zoom in and move this so you can see what I'm doing. Be sure that you see that score line right there. What we're going to do is we're going to take the cutting blade, and we are going to cut right to that score line. And we're going to do the very same thing, and I'm going to zoom out now. We're going to do the very same thing on the other side. So let me zoom in there, and hopefully you can see that score line right there. And I am going to cut right up to that score line. Okay, now I can zoom back out so you can see. All right, here and here is where I cut. Okay, now I actually do want to get rid of these flaps, and so let's see, let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom in for you to see. Okay, and I'm actually going to cut right down to that first cut. So I will do that now. Whoops, my blade wants to get caught. Here we go. Okay. And this is not a very good cut, unfortunately. It could be my blade. And what I'll probably do is take my scissors and just kind of trim that up a little bit. It should still turn out just fine. Okay, so now we're going to do this other side. We need to cut off this flap. And you can use your scissors if you want. I just like to go ahead and use the Stampin' trimmer because I have it out. All right, so let me zoom back out. And I'm down here now, and that's what I want to cut off. And so this time it cut just fine, so I must have just caught the cardstock wrong. Okay, so this is what your tea bag holder should look like at this point. And I'll go ahead and take my paper snips, and we're going to cut here. We're going to create these flaps that are going to help us close the box. All right, so you can go ahead and get those flaps cut, and it's beginning to take shape. I'm now ready to trim the front, and let me show you what I mean by that. This is the very front of it, and so we are going to use one of the framelits that's in the spot of tea, and it's actually this one right here. Okay, now remember, this is the front of the box. Okay, that shorter side. Here is the entire thing, and this is the short part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my treat holder this way. I've got the shortest distance right in front of me. And then I am going to take this framelit and I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to zoom in so hopefully you can see it. I am going to position this framelit right between these two score lines. Whoops, let me move it over a bit. So it's centered right between these two score lines. And you want to also be sure that these are about the same distance from the edge of the cardstock. Okay, and so I'll be using the Big Shot to cut this out. Okay, I took the time to roll this through the Big Shot, and now this is what my edge looks like. Okay, so this is where we need to bring back the Stampin' trimmer. Okay, once this is done, the rest is super easy to put together. Okay, so I want you to look at this little cut here and this one here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the Stampin' trimmer and we're going to cut straight across on both sides. And so I'm going to position this right inside here. Oh, and a good guide is it's right at about this 1/2 inch mark here. Okay, that is a 1/2 inch right here, and that's about where it's going to get positioned. Okay, all right, and then I'm just going to cut over, and I'm going to cut over again right to that cut. Okay, and then I can just peel this off. Okay, I'm going to fold it so you can actually see how the treat holder becomes three-dimensional, and you just want to do that by folding your score lines. And what's going to happen is the first thing that we'll need to do is to put our designer paper on first before taping the box together. So I'm going to be using some of the tea room paper. And we'll need some snail here. Okay. And I'll try and position my butterflies so that they are flying upwards. By the way, this sheet of paper is 3 1/4 inches by 4 inches. It doesn't go all the way to the score line, but you're not going to see it anyway. And this just, by cutting it at 4 inches, I can get more out of a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. Okay, so now we're ready for tearing tape, and that's just going to go right along these edges. So you only need 2 pieces. So it doesn't take very much to put it together. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead, whoops, and lift this up for you so we can put it together. Come on. Okay, I'm going to put these flaps in, and this is going to come up like this, and then we are going to put this side together. Okay, so there it is. Oops. And then here it is again. And you have your treat bag holder. I'm now ready to embellish the tea bag treat holder, but I do want to just mention a few things when creating this. First of all, you will just ink your stamped image in Versamark and pour embossing powder over it and heat it with their heat tool. And then you'll get this raised image. And I did use copper embossing powder. And then you're going to need some ribbon, and you'll need 16 inches of this satin ribbon. It's got the copper outline here. By the way, these are both part of the tea room suite, and when you purchase the ribbon, you get 5 yards of the white and 5 yards of the Coastal Cabana. That's also trimmed with the copper. And then you're just going to insert it into the holes. So here's another tip for you. When cutting this out, you're going to use the larger framelit of the two. Here's the small one. This is the larger one. And so when you go to cut this out, you're going to stamp, you're going to emboss, and then you're going to cut it out with this framelit. And you want to cut it so that the holes are right along where the lines are. So the holes will be at east and west, okay? And that way the ribbon will go through. So just remember, your hole needs to be lined up with these lines, okay? And then it'll work with the ribbon. I did pop this up, so 2 dimensionals on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off. So this outer side you can go ahead and do the outer side before doing the inside of the treat holder, okay? All right, so here we go. And you'll also notice that this mountain is also coordinating with this mountain, okay? And then you'll just wrap this around, and it's easy to slide. So if you want to get your ribbon at about the same length, it's easy to slide through there. And now we're just ready to tie a bow. So I absolutely recommend the ribbon. It is so beautiful, and it is very easy to tie. Alrighty. So let's see here. Let me pull that out and that. Okay, and then of course you can trim these little edges. Now once you've tied your ribbon, we're going to embellish this with one more item. We're going to use the Tea Room Copper vinyl stickers, and in the package you get 2 of these, okay? And the flowers are going to work perfectly with it, and the bees for what we're doing. You also get 2 of these. So there are 4 sheets of vinyl stickers in the package, okay? We're going to use the little bee, and I'm going to peel this off. And tweezers also help if you have those. And then I am just going to position that bee at the very bottom. And again, the flowers also work with this, okay? Ready to create the inside, so I'm just going to pull this out. It's a 3x6 cello bag that we sell in our annual catalog, and you're going to insert the tea bag. And by the way, on your supply list, I'll have the links as to where I purchased the tea bags and purchased the honey sticks, okay? Alrighty, and that supply list is going to be right under the video. Alright, so if you're on YouTube, head on over to my blog. There'll be a link under the video, and you can click on that and you'll have a supply list. Okay, so this little part is done, and I found it easier to insert it back inside of the treat bag. It just made it easier to tie. It just helped to hold it. All right, so I'm bringing in the Coastal Cabana, and this is 12 inches of ribbon, okay? I found 12 to work with it. All righty, I believe it's 12. Check the supply list just in case. And of course, then we have to tie it here. There we go, and then I'll just kind of straighten out the little bag. I might slide it up a little. There we go, perfect. And then we're just going to tie a little bow right here. All right. And then you'll just kind of fiddle with your bow until you get it like you want it. And then pull this back out. And I have a sheet of these little greetings for you. There is a separate video, so be sure to watch that one. It'll show you how to print it out and how to cut them to work. Absolutely love this Bible verse. This was shared with me some time ago, and I loved it. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healing to the body. Proverbs 16:21. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a glue dot. I'll actually put two, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then I'm just going to put it right over this little cello bag. And then there's a nice little piece of scripture to read when you're enjoying your tea with honey. Please let me know if you have any questions. I do hope you enjoyed this project, and I would love to see your creations. Thanks so much for buzzing by. I'll be your shade.